You're listening to Heart Podcast with Lina Kevlani. Artezaar.com, online art gallery.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Heart to Heart podcast. I'm Lina Kevlani, the owner of Artezaar.com, online art gallery. Today, please meet Muneer Samnani. He's the founder and managing director of Oxygen Management Consultancy. Oxygen Management Consultancy is one of the fastest growing consulting and training companies in the UAE. Muneer is a business coach and he helps small business entrepreneurs, but he also helps with corporate training as well as mastermind. Hi Muneer, how are you?
Hey Lina, how are you? Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. I think it's going to be a very interesting podcast.
Let's hope so.
Tell our listeners a bit about yourself.
So my name is Muneer. I come from Bombay, been in Dubai from 2005, came as a junior training coordinator, started Oxygen Management Consultant in the late 2011, 2012. I started my business. I'm a trainer of NLP, master practitioner of hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. I've written a book on time management. So I've done a lot of things. I'm a single parent with 2 kids.
Nice.
And run my own business.
That's amazing. And tell us, before we go into what Oxygen Management Consultancy does, tell us a bit about your vision and how did it come about?
So I've been a coach from 11th grade. This has never happened where from 11th grade I used to love training and development.
Oh, wow. So you're probably 16 at that time.
So even my first job was with a motivational speaker.
Nice.
Because I wanted to become like that. So I went and I told him, don't pay me. I'll work for you for free.
Who's that?
He was a guy in India who used to do shows on ZTV that time.
Oh, wow.
And I was very impressed. I said, okay, I want to become like you. Can you train me? He said, I don't have a salary to pay you. I said, no problem. I want to learn from you. And that's how my journey started. So I've been a trainer. Now you can say it for donkey's years. But yeah, so always wanted to be, I'm a science graduate with majors in chemistry. But when I was doing science, I went to my father and I said, I love human science and I love understanding human. So if you don't mind, can I do something that I love? And he said, no problem, make a career out of it.
Oh, that's really good. And that's how Oxygen started.
So Oxygen started not so early.
Yeah.
I did as everybody goes through their learning and development and experimentation, I did a lot of experimentation. I had some businesses in India, which I closed down. I was going to start a new one. Somebody flew to India, brought me here as a trainer. Worked as a trainer for almost 7 years and then started in 2012 with Oxygen.
Oh, that's great. And what do you do in Oxygen? A bit. Just tell us
So I do everything.
Okay.
From serving chai to... They say, right? As an entrepreneur, you're a follow-up clerk. So do what you do best. But my major role is to create vision for the company. Because I'm a business coach, I work very heavily with all my clients. I try to... the entire plan is to hold their hands and guide them through their entire journey of their entrepreneurship.
Okay, that's very interesting because I know a friend of mine and I know you do that for her from A to Z. So give us an example of how do you go with a small entrepreneur and just hold their hand, because as we were talking earlier, great, we want to be an entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean we come with A to Z skills, right?
100%.
We have a lot of missing
100%.
gaps. And how do you hold our hand?
So what happens is that I always say that we are not entrepreneurs. We are good technicians.
Okay.
Technically, we are good at something. Technically, I'm good at training. But that is the last part when it comes to entrepreneurship. Delivering training is the last thing. There are other 10, 100 steps that nobody tells you. So as an entrepreneur, we jump into entrepreneurship without knowing the actual game of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So once you enter, you say, oh, I just have to speak. That's the last thing. But I need to know how to market, how to do sales, how to do my accounts. I need to understand all these jargons that are happening. I understand what is cash flow. I have no idea about cash flow. So I've realized that we go as a technician and we are good at what we do. A lot of people are really good at what they do, but they don't understand the other nuances of entrepreneurship. So when they come in, this is what we do. We sit with them and we start working with them on all these areas. That, do you understand this? And as we discussed earlier, When they're not, so first you should have an understanding. And if they can't do it, then can you hire somebody to do it for you? So that's where we start building up the blocks, so that at the end of the day, or at the end of the, whatever you want to achieve in the year, you're actually moving forward to the right direction or the goal that you want to achieve.
Oh, that's really nice to see those little blocks, because I know when I started my business, I had a lot of gaps. And you either had to learn it, but even if you learn it, doesn't mean that you can master it.
100%.
So you had the basic understanding, but you had to hire people to fill in that gaps.
100%. And that's where you start learning. And then that takes away your time. And what I realize is that every entrepreneur goes through a yo-yo journey. Sometimes they're doing really good and sometimes they are not. And they're failing back and they're like, and I realized that, is there a way where we can share these learnings so we can cut short their learning curve and they stop doing those mistakes and they can grow fast?
Oh, that's really good. And then part of your part of the trainings that you do offer is something called Mastermind.
Yes.
What is Mastermind?
So Mastermind is a group of entrepreneurs who
Okay.
come together to help and support each other grow.
I was going to ask you, how can we help each other? Because I might come from a marketing background. Somebody comes from an accounting background, but how do we support each other?
So perfect combination that you've given, right? So the principal rule of Mastermind is we are all lonely at the top when it comes to being entrepreneur. Every day we are facing challenges. Is there a place where I can go share my challenges and people don't judge me for being weak? Because as an entrepreneur, we all have this shield, right? We are all successful. We want to show that face to the world that I have no issues. But inside our brain, there are so many things, right? I cannot go and talk to my staff. I cannot go and talk to my family. I cannot tell them. Is there a place which is safe for me to let my guard down and say, listen, guys, I don't know. So taking the same example that you said, you're a marketer and you're talking to an accountant. The accountant doesn't know marketing.
No, he doesn't.
So that's where when he says, I want to grow my business, and you come and say, listen, here's my expertise. So basically in a mastermind, we are borrowing each other's knowledge, wisdom, and experience so I can cut short my learning curve. This concept of mastermind comes from Napoleon Hill, from a book called Think and Grow Rich.
I've read that.
And Napoleon Hill says every successful people had a secret group that was called a mastermind. So Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Warren Harding, Harvey Firestone, these all had a mastermind. So in one of the interviews, even Edison was asked that, how do you know about all of this? And he says, I don't. But I have Henry Ford who knows everything about marketing. I just go and borrow his knowledge and wisdom and I just go and implement. That helps me do it faster and not go through this entire learning curve.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a cool concept. I have to say that as a small entrepreneur, I can actually see the benefit it brings to me. And that's really nice. I mean, I like the way you've brought these together. And what are some of the success stories or something, something magical that's happened in one of these groups?
So the biggest success story is that people's businesses have grown to 3x, 5x, 10x. That's
nice.
Easy to monetize. One of the biggest success story I've had is, and this I wanted after 5 years, and it happened on the 3rd year of our mastermind. One of the members came and said, I want to go for a holiday for a month. So husband, wife, they both run the business. They wanted to go. And I was really upset because I was like, we brought a business to one level. Don't leave right now because it will create an issue. And I was all angry and upset with them. And she came and said, listen, I have a plan. I said, okay, share it. She said, when I go for a holiday, 2 of my mastermind members will run my business in my absence. So she selected 2 people. One would take care of sales and one would take care of operation. And I was like, this is something I wanted to do after 5 years, where people can become really so close and bond with each other.
And they trust each other. That's a lot of trust.
Yeah. And so she did it, and she went on the 1st of the month, which was January, and I was all worried about her and her business and everything. And she came after a month and she said, Muneer, I have some stories to share with you. I said, okay, perfect, come back me. She said, not only my company achieved my targets, they went above and beyond the targets. And what has happened is that these 2 people came from a different perspective. So they found out gaps that I never saw, and they filled up those gaps in my absences. So the first week of her coming back, she said, I'm literally redundant. I don't know what to do. because things have gone on autopilot and I'm feeling so bad that nobody needs me now. And I said, that's the best place to... So this was the biggest success story that we have got, where people have managed their businesses, which means you need to open up... You open up all your numbers, you open up all your loops and holes to ensure that, listen, these are my gaps, can you please manage it? And this has been the biggest success story that we have got, which nothing monetary, but took the entire concept to next level.
I love it. I think that, you know what happens, Muneer, is since you're talking about human science, right?
Yeah.
We as humans, whether we like to accept it or don't accept it, we have this fear of being redundant,
yes,
of not being valuable. Hence, a lot of newcomers face that with their managers. Their managers don't pass down knowledge because they're so scared that they're going to get redundant.
Yes.
Right? And I think the biggest, how do I put it? The biggest savior for me and for Tamanna, that you guys listen to her. You know, she's one of those entrepreneurs who actually runs her own business, her food business.
Yes.
Our director, our CEO, told us one thing. He goes, if you don't grow, the others don't grow.
100%.
And if you don't make them grow, you will be a manager for the rest of your life. You will never be an associate director, a director. You can't grow.
100%.
Because yes, you're training that person so that they can take on your role.
Yeah.
So you can take on a bigger role. But if you're so stuck,
yeah,
you will be redundant.
Yeah, 100%. And it is all about growth. And the day she came and she said, I have nothing to do. I said, that's where we create more businesses.
Exactly.
So
because
now she runs
her
2-3 more businesses.
Yeah, because her brain freed up.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. And you know what? What drew my attention as well is the way you help teens in your programs. Tell us a bit about that.
So when we started Mastermind, a lot of our Mastermind members came and said, listen, you've been teaching us goal setting, vision board, time management, discipline. You've been teaching us so many things that we didn't learn before.
Right.
Can you teach the same thing to the teens? And I was like, no, let's keep it straight. And
I'm
they were
sending
like,
my niece to you.
And they said, no, please, let's do it. Can you please do something for us? And I was like, okay, so 2021, we started Mastermind for teenagers. It starts from 13 to 18 years old. We teach life skills. Skills that school doesn't teach. Skills that nobody teaches. So we teach them discipline, we teach them time management, we teach them goal setting, we teach them vision board. We bring in expert speakers from different industries to come and give them those exposures. We teach them, what do you want to make your career in? So there's I want to make my career in, let's say, social media. We put them on internship. Nice. Is your brain working? Is your intelligence working? Or is your interest working? There's a difference. I can be interested in 10 things, but does my interest work in that? Does my intelligence work in that? Right. So we started doing it and it was very natural. We've still not marketed very heavily about it. Whatever we are getting is word of mouth. We have 20-25 teens that we work with them. I love them. They keep me young. They're funny. They're interesting. They teach me a lot of stuff.
They do, don't they?
Yeah. And they teach me how to think differently. Right. So, and I have my son is 17-year-old. So he's now a partner in that area. So he runs Teens Mastermind with me. He goes, brings in new speaker, creates the curriculum. I oversee with him and I help him deliver. That's amazing because you started at 16 and you have managed to get your son into that interest and he's 17 leading a program of their own. So it's like a generation thing. That's amazing. And he loves it. He enjoys doing it. Yeah. No, but today's teens, I don't remember ever telling my parents I'm stressed. Yeah. Today they use it so openly without even realizing, I don't think they realize the real meaning of stress. Yeah. But it's just a word they hear, they see. I'm not saying mental well-being isn't there. It is very, very crucial today for kids more than any time. But I feel that they lack those life skills, like you said. How do you cope with it? Maybe a child is truly stressed. So what happens is that a lot of time my experience is that they learn it from the family. I'll give you a simple example. One of the but one of the teenagers came and said, I feel claustrophobic. I said, super, amazing, what does it mean? He says, I'm feeling hot.
Okay.
So you see, it's a word that he's heard it and he thinks I need to use it without understanding the actual meaning of it. Because these are words that
They're surrounded by it.
And
depression, stress, not being valued. I didn't even know the meaning of unworthy.
Yeah.
Until I got into my journey I think in late 20s. That's for the first time I heard the word unworthy. And I'm like, really? Like, it didn't strike me.
And so, for example, let's say today if I'm sitting, I'm doing something, and if my kid comes and says, listen to me, I say, listen, I'm stressed right now. He'll learn that word. Oh, stress means this is it. When this happens, it's called stress. So if it happens to me,
that means,
these are
dad's
copy-paste
busy.
stuff that we can use it, and it's very easy for kids to imitate their parents, their teachers, their friends, and get influenced with that, which is very normal. My thing is that if we can decode it for them, give them much more powerful words to use. You know, they say words are powerful and they have an impact on your unconscious mind.
Very true.
So we are trying to do that while helping them think positive, teach them life skills, so that and everything that we do is simulation. It's all hands-on. So we put them into a situation, we ask them to solve it.
No, that's really nice. I think that's really good for the teens today to be able to decipher what's happening around them, especially because of the blast of social media.
Exactly.
And the influences thereon. That's great. I was also reading on your website, and there was one thing that grabbed my attention. Firewalking. Tell me about it.
So these are called breakthrough events.
Right.
So there are 4 breakthrough events that we do. One is called firewalking, rebar bending, board breaking, and arrow breaking.
Okay.
So it's nothing but overcoming your limiting beliefs.
True.
Right? So we've learned that fire burns us and we cannot do anything with that.
Right.
Firewalking is a action metaphor that helps you overcome your limiting beliefs. So it's not just that they come and they walk. There's a full entire stuff. So they come, they lit the fire, so they know it's an original fire and it can burn them. Then I take them in a session where I talk about how the brain works, how you should work with your brain, and what you should do to overcome it.
Nice.
And then they set their goals and they write down why haven't they overcome or why haven't they achieved their goals.
Right.
Then I take them down and say, listen, I'm giving you another goal, walk on the fire. What are your limitations? So they start giving excuses. They say, now if I can burn all these excuses and walk on this fire, imagine every single thing that you are good at. You can achieve it. And so people then walk on the fire, we make it easy, and then we start making it difficult for them to walk on it. We have 3 levels. First time when they walk, they're like, oh, it looks like I'm working in a garden. Very good, let's build your confidence. Then we start putting more coals, more fire, and the 3rd level is when they're walking, I actually put spirit on it in front of their legs and they just walk. They go into a phase where they think that they can achieve anything. We've got some super success story. The biggest testimonial I got once was one of the guy came into one of the networking and said, listen, I worked on Muneer's firewalking event and I lost my job. And everyone was quiet. I'm like, oh, what happened to you? I didn't realize it. And he says, and I became an entrepreneur.
Oh.
So I'm like, so he started his journey, and till now, every time he meets me, he says, I became an entrepreneur because you made me do something that I thought was impossible to do.
You know, there's a book I've read, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Absolutely.
And each time I'm lost, I pick up that book and I read it.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you the changes that happen within me and around me. I actually can get the confidence to do different things and see things in a very different way. And I think that book is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
I always say that book changed my life. So I'm glad to see that something like the other way changes somebody else's life. That's amazing. When's your next event?
So we only do it for corporates now.
Okay.
We initially started doing it for public, but we only do it for corporates because so we have another event called rebar bending.
Okay.
It's bending an iron rod in the notch of your throat.
Ooh,
so one end of these are reinforcement bars that are used in the construction site. One end goes, let's say, in my throat here, and the other goes in your. We both walk and the bar bends.
Oh, wow.
And this is the most delicate part in your body.
Yes, true.
Yeah. And we do it and it blows people's mind. They're like, oh my God. So this we can do it anytime because you don't need a bigger space. It's just a small room like this. Also, people come and they keep bending the bars. It actually again helps you push your limiting beliefs, overcome your mindset. You know, they say whatever we are not what we are.
Right.
We are a result of what people thought we are.
there's some misconceptions that people have around hypnosis and NLP, right? I would like to clarify that. One about hypnosis that I always hear is I will lose control.
Yeah.
Or they'll program my mind to do something.
Yeah.
I'll give up everything in life.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah. So that was me when I went through my hypnotherapy session, because I told my trainer, train me to be a hypnotherapist without hypnotizing me. And she's like, what? Muneer, you leave this course. I'm like, no, please do it. She's like, no, if you can't experience it, how will you know what's happening?
True.
So let me redefine hypnosis into trance. Have you been in a trance?
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to sleep if you're not in a trance.
Right. In one of those meditative spaces.
So if you again mild it, say what is trance? Where your brain cycles become slower. Right? So there is mild hypnosis or mild trance, medium trance, and deep trance. Deep trance is where you go to sleep in a night, where you really go to your REM sleep down
to
and
the
you hit that.
Yeah.
That is actually a good sleep. What is a mild trance? It's a Sunday afternoon. You had a very heavy, greasy lunch. Now you are lying on your couch with this AC on. You are not sleeping, but you're not awake.
Right.
That's hypnosis. That's trance. That I'm enjoying this moment and I don't care about anything. It's like I'm watching a TV, the door opened. Do I know? Answer is yes. Am I bothered to see who opened the door? The answer is no. That's trance.
Right.
Again, hypnosis is nothing but suggestions. So when the other guy says, would you like to close your eyes? You say no. Khalas, there's no hypnosis happening.
There's no hypnosis.
Right? So nobody can control you. It's not controlling. It's when hypnosis is nothing but suggestions. When you say yes, you're taking the suggestions, you're saying, okay, I want to be part of this act, this game, this therapy.
Right.
And then they allow you to say, okay, then do I have permissions to ask you questions, or do I have permissions to go to that part of your brain that can access or give me some information? It's very simple.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a trance.
So Muneer, we have these couple of sections. One of them is called the Did You Know? So the one thing, Muneer, that people around you don't know about you.
So most of the people don't know that I was the most indisciplined person ever in my life. But because I've now written a book on time management and I've become very finicky about my time management and discipline, I teach this to people, especially to entrepreneurs. They don't know that I was the most indisciplined person in my life. I would make people wait and would not turn up.
Oh my
including
God.
my clients. And in 2016, I lost everything in my life. I had nothing. I had 400 dirhams in my pocket, 2 kids to take care, no money coming in. I went to one of my best friend and my accountable partner and I said, give me one advice. I will never let you down. And he said, Muneer, you're very talented. You're very knowledgeable. Just get disciplined. I'm telling you, you will go 10x. And that day I promised, I said, listen, you'll give my examples of discipline to people. Finally, him and me wrote a book on time management.
What's the book called and where can people buy it?
Mastering Your Time. So we have not put on Amazon, but if people want it, then I'm the right person to give them.
Okay, I'm leaving Muneer's Instagram down here. Just DM him if you would like a copy of the book and then he can let you know all the details. But I think that's amazing. So in my previous job, I was always known as Crazy Lena because I asked crazy questions. So now It's Crazy Lena question time.
Yeah, shoot.
What has been one of the most difficult things for you to break through?
Personally?
Yeah.
Personally, if you ask me, my biggest, I have a very big sweet tooth. And I am on a fitness journey from last few years. And I heavily work out and I believe into health and fitness. To say no to sweets has been the biggest challenge for me. Now it's very easy. But I used to tell people, I used to go to, I don't know if you know, there's this restaurant called Puran Malls.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to go to Puran Malls and in my dinner I used to say, bring all these Bengali mithais and I would eat that and that was my dinner.
Oh, wow.
That used to be my dinner.
That's how, that's an insane sweet tooth.
Sweet, yeah. I've been on eating gulab jamun competition. I've eaten 23, 24 just to ensure that I win.
Oh, wow.
And I still have that, but I've taken care of it. And so now there's sweet, I'm okay to say no to it and I have no issues. I have a switch off button in my head. But
I don't have that button.
I have it very
For
well
me,
now.
after dinner, even if it's a little piece of chocolate, I need it. And I'll go mental walking around the house.
To look for it.
Yeah. I just need, it's just a little, like one little square of a Cadbury. But I don't know if it's a trait in the DNA because all of us have it.
Yeah, so my kids love sweets and they eat it, but they are young, so they are okay. But I'm able to do it, and now it's 3-4 years now, so I'm okay to say no to sweets, and I've given up all of this, and I'm okay. I can have a small bite just to make people happy, but it doesn't now.
Fantastic.
Get me excited.
So as a final question, any advice that you would like to give to our listeners?
This is my personal thing. I always tell myself what advice I would give it to my younger self.
Yeah.
If I were to give. And take more risk.
Take more risk. Yeah.
I think that's one advice I would give. Because if you don't take it, you will never know what are you capable of. I've taken a lot of risk. All of them have not been good. I'm still taking risk. I push myself to go out of my comfort zone. But I think that's the only way I have been able to realize my own potential. So if they can do one thing, I always say, if I have 2 kids and one kid is very kind and sweet and doesn't do anything, and one is breaking my entire house, I'll appreciate the person who's breaking my house. At least he's doing something in his life. At least he's trying to do something. He's trying to move forward. He's trying to experiment something. I think that's what it is. As humans, the only thing that gets us going is growth. Right? We love growing. We have one thing, we want another thing. I think that's the best thing that, people say we should satisfied, of course, but you should always have bigger goals and you should always try to achieve something bigger. So take more risk, enjoy those. And I always tell people, if you take a risk and you fail, there are no failures. There are only feedback. You will always get a feedback how to do it better.
Fantastic.
So that would be
Fantastic. And with this, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've left Muneer's contacts below, so please get in touch with him if you're looking for a corporate event, if you would like to join his mastermind program as well. And you never know who you'll meet there and how they can help you on your journey. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye and have a fantastic time. And let's keep growing and let's keep spreading this growth across the world.
No, thank you for having me, and this was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.